Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode number 5 in the book of John. Today I'm going to tell you about my salvation verse, which is, you move an inch and you get a kingdom. This is from John chapter 1, verse 12. I'm going to start from verse 6. There was a man sent from God whose name was John. That's John the Baptist. He came as a witness to bear witness about the light, that all might believe through him. He was not the light, but came to bear witness about the light. So it kind of blows my mind in a couple of ways. First, that the Lord puts humans, John, in this chain of witness of this amazing God, and people are somehow included. Secondly, there's the start of this theme of light and darkness, good and evil. If you've been alive for more than 5 minutes, you realize that. And thirdly, this theme about belief. John tells us what this book is about, which is belief. So, isn't the whole Bible about belief, not just the book of John? It's kind of an argument to belief, it's a plea to believe, and it's a warning to believe, and that's kind of where my story comes in. So let me read verses 9 through 12 here now. The true light, which gives light to everyone, was coming into the world. He was in the world, and the world was made through him, yet the world did not know him. He came to his own, and his own people did not receive him. And here's the big verse for today, verse 12. But to all who did receive him, who believed in his name, he gave the right to become children of God, who were born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, or of the will of man, but of God. So kind of the bad news here is his own people didn't receive him. This had to make God, sad and some negative emotion, because he's gone through such great trouble with, creation and the Old Testament history, and now he's got to send his son. Now, he knew that right from the garden or before time immemorial, and he knew the cost, the great sacrifice, the high cost, that it was going to cost him dear. Breaking up the Trinity, relationships, even divine ones, probably even especially divine ones, are so dear. So, let's simplify today's thought. There's two big categories. There's those who did not receive him, and then there's those, and those people were near to the kingdom. They had opportunity, they had exposure, they had knowledge. And how do we know this? They were his own people. He came to his own, and his own people did not receive him. So with that, there's agency and opportunity and failed opportunity and accountability. So here's my story. So I was raised in a large, traditionally based, nominal Christian religion, and I was a dutiful follower, at least in my mind. But I began to be attracted to the winsomeness of some real Christian believers, and I started to hang out with them a little bit. And I considered John 1:12 my salvation verse. Here it is. But to all who did receive him, who believed in his name, he gave the right to become children of God. So how is that? Well, about 44 years ago, and I don't remember who made this argument to me, but I do remember the argument. And here was the, get in or stay out watershed for me. So being associated with the church, being an attender, being a so-called good person, even being a bit faithful and spiritually curious, does not equal receiving him. So I was keeping kind of some spiritual boundaries, God out there, me in here, this far, no further, dabble as I choose, hanging out on an as-needed basis for Christianity light does not equal receiving him. So here was my spiritual light bulb. Even though I had lots of exposure to spiritual things, theoretically I was born into the church, I was born into Christianity, that does not equal meaning receiving him, taking him for myself. I never seized him, grabbed hold as he called me. I never said yes. I never allowed him, never received him, never believed in his name. Now, that means a lot. I know that Jesus does the heavy lifting as far as sin fixing and eternal life giving being established at this moment in time. And of course, and I still don't even understand the half of it. I know that he elects. I know that he is sovereign. What I do know is that with his help and with the help of people. Now, their names were Jim and Che and Larry and Charles and Patty. I know that with their help and with the Lord's help, I received him on a particular day in a particular place in my heart with my mouth and with my obedience. And I was baptized about 5 minutes later. So, yes, the Lord is sovereign. And yes, he asks you for one thing, just one thing. It's just the hardest thing, which is your will, my will. So your response to the limited stuff you know is to believe. So I put your stake in the ground. I believe that for me. I believe you needed to do all that because some ugly sin out there, and the only sin out there that I could think of was my own sin. So I need you for me. That was kind of one of my revelations. I need to believe for my sins, for my call to help. Again, verse 12. But to all who did receive him, who believed in his name, he gave the right to become children of God. Do you hear the graciousness of God here? That if we move 1 inch towards him in receiving him and believing in him, then what happens? We move 1 inch and he gives a kingdom. He gives rights. He gives adoption. He gives putting us in his family. He gives us stuff which we could never earn by ourselves. So the question today as we close, have you received him? Have you believed in his name? Is John 1:12 true for you? Have you been born of God? If so, wow, fantastic, miracle, worship him. This is out of our pay grade. But if not, then do the thing that he asks us to do, which is in our pay grade, which is receive him, believe in his name. You do your part, he'll do his. Thanks for listening.